The discussion of who gets to carry firearms on Capitol Hill has spilled over into the committee rooms.
Because I think we're entitled to know whether this is going to be a safe and secure venue for us to have our political differences. How many members feel like they would need to carry a weapon into our committee hearings? Got one?
I need one everywhere here.
Everywhere?
Oftentimes we are harassed in the hallways. We walk alone.
The gentleman hasn't.
And just and would those be loaded weapons, presumably?
Not an unloaded weapon.
Okay, that's helpful to know too.
A California representative, Jared Huffman, has decided that he feels unsafe if members of Congress, his peers, have guns with them in the committee rooms and other meeting rooms on Capitol Hill. You currently can't carry firearms into the main chambers there on Capitol Hill. That's a rule that Congress has passed, and they won't let folks do that. But in the committee rooms and in the conference rooms and things like that, our lawmakers carry guns. Yes. Can you believe it? They want to protect themselves. So Representative Huffman, he got all twisted around the axle about this, and in a meeting of the House Natural Resources Committee, he decided he wanted a show of hands to see who was not carrying a concealed firearm in the room. A lot of the Republicans didn't participate, but a few people raised their hands like, oh, I'm not carrying a gun. And then it opened up into a contentious debate. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but before I do, we have a super secret giveaway going on right now, but it ends really soon. If you want to enter for your chance to win this long distance hole puncher, absolutely free, click the link in the description down below. There you go, click that link and see which one you can win. So we're back to talking about whether or not people can carry guns in the committee rooms on Capitol Hill, and yes, they can. It's legal and it's allowed. And this representative from California decided that suddenly he's afraid that they're going to have contentious debates about political subjects, and he doesn't want people in the room with him to have guns. Does he really think that one elected representative is going to shoot another elected representative because they're arguing about the Natural Resources Board? And that topic came up in the middle of this discussion.
Do you think we're going to hurt you? We would never hurt you.
It's
I would use my farm to defend you, just to be clear.
What I find so amazing about all of this stuff is that right now there's this huge discussion, and they're investigating what happened on January 6th about how people stormed the Capitol, and other representatives, this guy happens to be a Democrat from California, he's saying, no, the Capitol is perfectly safe. You don't need guns to protect yourself. And then he goes into another committee room and he says, the Capitol is not safe. We need extra protection. We need to make sure that somebody is there to protect us. Guess what? The people that they're hiring to protect them have guns. And the people who are going to do harm on Capitol Hill don't care if it's a gun-free zone. They're already going to the seat of our government in violation of the law to cause problems. That's the basic crux of why gun-free zones don't work. And our representatives, some of them, understand that they need to protect themselves, just like you and I need to protect ourselves. And there's lots of places where people are walking along alone around Capitol Hill where they're getting, I don't know, I wanted to say accosted, but that's not the right word, challenged. There's other people coming and going. It's supposed to be a free space so that the residents, the citizens of the United States can go there, can interact with their legislatures. And you know what? Sometimes things might get out of control. We saw it happen once before, and we understand that we have the right to defend ourselves. And that should extend to our lawmakers as well, where they work, just like you and I get to carry guns to and from work. I get to carry a gun at work because I work at a great place. You might not get to carry a gun at work, but you should be allowed to, and you should talk to your HR department about that. But understand this, that a good person with a gun is not automatically going to start shooting at someone because of an argument. That's not how it works. Good people with guns use them responsibly to defend against bad people with guns who are using those guns irresponsibly. It is not the fault of the gun. The access to a firearm does not cause crime. correlation, yes, we hear that there's lots of guns being used in crimes. And actually, if we figure on the hundreds of millions of people in the U.S. and the tens of thousands who are killed in what people are calling gun violence, that doesn't happen too often. It's still very rare, even though we live in what people call a violent time. Violence is still very rare. We still have that right to protect ourselves, and we should be allowed to utilize that, even on Capitol Hill. And I love the fact that some of these Republican legislators are pushing back against the people who say they're afraid that guns exist. They're just scared. Well, they don't seem to be afraid of the bad guys with the guns who could come in there. They think that the sign that says no guns here on Capitol Hill will stop the bad guys with guns. The sign won't stop them. What stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And I want to see all of our lawmakers trained, handling guns safely and responsibly, because that's the right thing to do. They should be setting that example for Americans, and not just American gun owners, but for all Americans, understanding that if you use that right to defend yourself, if you wish to use that right, you should also accept the responsibility, do the right thing, get some training, use your gun responsibly, and then we won't have anything to worry about. Guns are not the problem. People cause problems, and people sometimes use guns when they're causing those problems. Let's not blame it on the gun. If our lawmakers want to carry guns, more power to them. I'm all for it. Want to know the 3 biggest mistakes when carrying a handgun? Then click on the video next to me to reveal all 3 mistakes. Mistake number 2 may shock you. Everybody has their own cardinal rules for what they're going to do when they're carrying a gun. But right now, I'm going to give you 3 things that you must never do